Like, since the Mortal Kombat days.
Yeah, like, this is nothing new. But they're throwing this and saying, oh, look, oh, because Anita Sarkeesian did work on this, that means this is her fault, she did it. And it's like, no, she had nothing to do with this, guys. Like, this is not anything to do with her.
Yeah, one person can't ruin the entire industry. Otherwise, we would have seen death of gaming a long time ago. And
right.
Hillary Clinton and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's like, and Jack Thompson especially, he wanted to completely shut down. I mean, let's talk about somebody who's actually trying to do some damage to games.
Or shit. I mean, can you imagine, like, if games are going to be ruined, you don't even have to look at, like, the social end of it. I mean, companies like id, 3D Realms, Atari, I mean, if games were going to die, it wasn't going to be from just social pressure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, fuck, look at what everything like EA has been doing to the fucking industry. Let's be honest here. Like, this isn't a consumer or a feminist critic problem necessarily, entirely. But it's the fact that, and like, talking about Anita Sarkeesian for a minute, like, I'm not even saying that I fucking agree with everything that she says, because I don't. A lot of the stuff she has brought up in her videos, which I've watched, I disagree with, and I'm saying this as somebody who threw $5 in the Kickstarter before the whole mess started. Whoa, okay.
You'd think she'd have a jacket at a nice rink.
Yeah, maybe.
But at least her dress actually makes sense. Like, you can see where the seams are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's the fact that all Sarkeesian is trying to do is just apply literary tropes, rather, to video games. And some of them are valid, and some of them aren't, and some of them she just has this weird methodology that I don't necessarily agree with. But that's all in the long run, that is all she's doing. And again, I refer back to Jim Sterling, one, because I really like the guy, and I find myself agreeing with a lot of his viewpoints. He made a whole video about it, like, basically saying, like, before the whole gamer outrage, like, she was known in her circle, in the feminist circle that she ran in, but she wasn't really that big of a name, she wasn't that big of a deal, and because gamers had such a visceral reaction to her and threw all this abuse at her, that's when she really started to get popular. That's why she started to be involved with, like, Bungie and DICE and being invited on the Colbert Report and all this other shit because of how gamers responded. If gamers didn't have that kind of reaction, she probably just would have made her videos, and that would have been it. It wouldn't have been a big fucking thing, and now it's a whole thing. So it's I feel like I'm kind of like stream of thought about this, but gaming seems to be this big boys club, which growing up I don't remember it being, and let me explain why. There were advertising and games that were kind of just for all genders and all ages, especially if you look at some of the ads from like the early to mid 80s. For your Ataris or NESs, there were boys and girls playing those games, and then it slowly started shifting over to it being sort of a boys thing. And the impression that I'm getting,
the Sega era, I seem to remember that pretty distinctly.
Yeah, like that was definitely more like a dude sort of thing, and that's when I actually remember people ostracizing me because I was a girl. And it was like, girls don't play games. And it's like, well,
that's dog
I'm
shit.
a girl and I'm playing games. Yeah, and just, I think the impression that I've been getting so far from people who I've talked to about this has been men who have grown up playing games, especially like in the 80s and 90s, they were kind of ostracized for it. It wasn't a popular thing until, the PlayStation and all that really kind of started making it popular in the mainstream. They grew up.
I call bullshit, but go ahead.
Well, here's my theory. That they grew up being ostracized, they grew up being bullied, and it became kind of like their own thing. It was what they grew up with their childhood in, And now that it's starting to get more popular, and people kind of want to add more, but more diversification or representation, they're starting to feel threatened. Like they're not only are you taking away quote unquote their games, but you're taking away part of their childhood, part of their identity. And that's why maybe they're having such a visceral reaction to it. Again, I can't prove any of this. It's just stuff that I'm piecing together from response that I've been getting about the subject.
Do you know what the coolest shit was in my high school? GoldenEye and Tony Hawk Pro Skater and Dragon Ball Z. That is the PlayStation era she's referring to, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and there was there was a pretty distinct line between those who played games and those who fucking were games.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
And
it ain't right, but I'm not wrong.
And I'll be honest, I was one of those people who, like, I lived and breathed games. You know, I had EGM off the news shelf. You know, as soon as it first came out, I would go and talk to my pretty much almost all male group of friends, because other girls didn't game. You know, it wasn't like a thing that girls did in middle school. We're talking like middle to late 90s. And it was just sort of this club. It became this club that was hard to get into, and the only way you can get into it is if like you had like those pop quizzes sort of thing. Like, oh, you're a girl that plays games.
I remember the pop
Yeah,
quizzes.
and that sort of goes into the whole gatekeeper bullshit mentality you see around a lot.
A lot of nerds, yeah.
Yeah. Is that you have to pass some kind of fucking test before you can genuinely enjoy or be into something. You see that a lot. I see that a lot in like the cosplay circles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like there was this one image macro that was going around, this one meme, where there was a woman who was dressed as, and she had kind of like a combination of different things going on. It was like she was like part steampunk, part Joker, etc., etc. And this one group of dudes like took her to task, and they were like, "You're just throwing everything together. You look like a fucking hot mess. You're not a real dork." Blah blah blah. It actually turns out that character was a comic character.
Duella Dent.
Duella Dent. Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't think of the name. Like I know it's 2Ds. And I couldn't think of it.
Duella Dent, Joker's daughter, originally appeared in Teen Titans as part of the Titans East team.
Okay, thank you. There you go. See?
Wiped out in the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes, and if you looked at the two, like a picture of the character, like in the comic, and this woman's cosplay, this woman fucking nailed the cosplay. She nailed it. And because some group of dudes didn't realize this was a legit character, they were calling her a fake gamer girl, or fake geek girl. She's just doing this for attention. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. What a skank. All this other stupid shit. And all she did was cosplay a character. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is some vile shit that is going on.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's the toxicity.
yeah.
Of
and
our
I mean-
city, of our city.
Yeah. Thank you. And I mean, like, I can go on and on about this. And like I said, a lot of this I'm going to try to address in the documentary that I'm making, but to wrap up the question. But it's just, and I don't want to take away from the argument that men get harassed. I'm not saying that, but I'm approaching this.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish. I apologize.
No, but just, like, I'm approaching this from the perspective of a female and of a female gamer who has had to deal with this shit all of her life. A lot of the things that these women are making, like the recent GTFO documentary that just came out, that is from the perspective of an outsider. This is from the perspective of somebody who has been in the gaming scene pretty much all of her life and wanting to go, this is what it's like from the inside. It sucks. What can we do to change it?
And it's people have this idea like, you know, but men can be harassed too. It's like, absolutely, no one is saying that there can't be just blanket harassment that doesn't fall along gender lines. However, there's a difference between anecdotes and fucking trends.
Yeah.
And we have to be cognizant of those trends that we know are there.
I mean,
We say as we play HuniePop.
As we play HuniePop.
Yeah.
But I mean, people will turn around and, like, somebody will mention, like, you know, Zoe Quinn, for example, like, she's getting harassed and she's getting death threats. And people are like, well, look at Phil Fish. And it's like, okay, yeah, you ran Phil Fish off Twitter. Do you want a fucking cookie? Like, I mean, people harassed him so much for his opinion on the then breaking, quote-unquote, scandal of Zoe Quinn and the whole Five Guys thing, that he basically was like, fuck it, I'm selling my company and my game, and you go fuck yourselves. And obviously, I'm very loosely paraphrasing, but he basically just up and left. And people were like, yeah, we did it, we beat Phil Fish. And it's like, what did you do? You drove a fucking game designer out of the industry with stupid hate and bullshit and trolling. Like, way to go. You know, like, this isn't an achievement. And it's, you know, like, and definitely, like, men do get harassed. I've been online and gaming and playing games, even games like WoW or whatever, where I hear, you know, like, men call each other, like, faggots and all sorts of stuff, and snack talk that, like, borders harassment and things like that. I mean, it happens to men, but it at least from everything I've been seeing on, like, Twitter and different social media, it happens a fucking hell of a lot more towards women, and that deserves to be addressed.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's
and I have been rambling about this.
No. You're spot on, and it's important to note that Phil Fish was run off because didn't he appear to be wasn't he trying to stick up for Zoe Quinn?
I think he was. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So they're
she
like,
was
yeah,
at-
like,
she
they're
was
like
at
some-
his wedding.
yes, she was. So they're like, yeah, sometimes men get harassed. Motherfucker, he was defending a lady. That's a non-argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think though that's probably a good place to call it from here. Seeing as what it's 1:30 in the goddamn morning.
Are you sure you
Roughly.
don't want to finish this Nikki date?
Wow, I'm so excited to finish the Nikki date. I can't even begin to tell you. Just, buddy, I'm all sorts of.
Oops, the internet turned off.
Don't know what happened there.
You fading fast, homie?
Yeah, and I think it's time for some final thoughts either way. We've gone on HuniePop long enough.
Final thought on HuniePop or on just God, the state of gender
Let's go with-
politics in games.
HuniePop, because we've got another game in line that I think will cover the same thing, and maybe in a more positive aspect.
Final thoughts on HuniePop is it's aware of how goofy and dumb and shitty and kind of misogynistic it is, and that doesn't, I don't think, earn it enough points for being shitty and misogynistic and kind of dumb. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Being aware that you're an asshole doesn't make you not an asshole. And
Exactly.
It just makes you a self-aware one.
Yeah. Which is almost worse in a way.
Yeah, because
It's like the,
you're aware of it, you could stop.
yeah, it's like a Terminator or like Skynet. It's like the difference between those two.
It's the Tucker Max conundrum. Just because you know that you're an asshole, you're still an asshole. Just you recognize the fact.
Yeah, like Skynet made this game, you know, to prove the point. But I mean, like, and we were talking about this during the break. There's a part of me that really wants to like this game. It's obvious that there's a lot of care and thought and passion, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic way, but there's a lot of real consideration given to the creation of this game. I mean, they got the good voice acting, they got the nice graphics, you know, the nice, you know, user interface going on. But what kills it for me is the misogyny, not just of this player protagonist to women, but to other women in the game, like the whole bitch whore fight between the two girls, and just the racism that they throw out there, and they think that's acceptable. Like it's I'm usually not one to get offended at things really, but the fact that this game kind of tosses it out there, like, oh, this is okay. This is how women act towards each other, and how we think about each other, and it's actually like I can't give it a pass.
No, it's its framework alone is just terrible, and
No, I hear you. I hear you on that. It's bad in its engineering.
yeah, like if it was just this puzzle game, hey, great. But then the framework around the puzzle game is like they threw it in as like, how do we make this where it's not like any other terrible misogynistic piece of crap? Puzzle game. And no, why have you subjected us to this? Because it'll make money, that's why. And it apparently has, and none of us are better for it.
We'll never be better after this.
Ain't that the
I don't
damn
think-
truth?
I don't think anything will be better after this.
But I mean, we can do the whole argument of, oh, it's terrible, but me and TV Dinner legitimately played through an entire round of HuniePop, which isn't a short thing. It's, you know, not long either. It's, 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, but also it's important to note there, as somebody who was right there with you along doing it, at no point did we play this game for more than 45 minutes where we didn't stop and have a 15-minute conversation about what was wrong with the goddamn universe because of what we saw in HuniePop.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like when you go in and you see everything that's awful in the world, but you know you have to go back.
It's like a Hardee's then.
I mean, if nothing else, this game helped sort of, I think, spark/facilitate discussion. So, kudos for that. It's just, it's got some truly bizarre character design choices, and the representation of women to women is poor as well as it is good sometimes. I don't know. It's just...
I hear you on that. I don't know if I wouldn't call it bizarre. I'd say it's calculated to fucking back every choice
yeah.
they made.
Oh yeah.
But it seems to be made to uplift whoever's playing it by pushing down that which it's representing. And
yeah.
and from my now limited experience with dating games, I can say, because of the "What Are We Fighting For?" That does kind of seem to be a trend where it simplifies things that are by their nature complex for the comfort of its audience.
Yeah. And any dating sim is going to do that, right? You know, you can't obviously expect to have a full-fledged relationship through a game. Like, it's not going to happen. You can only do so much to recreate that. That being said, this is, like, especially, like, I don't want to say offensive, but, like gregarious with their representation of women in the games. Like, it's pretty bad.
A little bit.
Have to get me stuff. I mean, I appreciate it.
Slacker Kite, your final thoughts?
I mean, here's my real take on it overall, is that I think they had some decent ideas that were executed in a way, like, they thought they were being funny and charming, and I know people who are exactly like that. You've met them before.
What kind of game?
Yep.
They think the sort of dialogue proves that they're above it because, hey, I'm making the joke along with you, isn't it clever? It's not clever, but you want to laugh and you feel bad for laughing. It's like watching Wolf of Wall Street. The whole time, yeah, I'm going to laugh about it, but
So maybe
oh,
this is the kind of person
I need to really think about my life afterwards because I shouldn't have laughed at that. So, I mean, that's my takeaway. It's a fun game until you think about it, and then you need a shower.
I hadn't really put much thought into that.
You need more than a shower after this.
You know, not a good time to travel. That's one of my thoughts here.
Color.
Yeah, it's a terrible night to have a curse. And that's
Jesus.
full circle.
Like-
Go ahead, Jen.
I kind of like Travis's take on it. I feel like it's a misguided effort into
No,
the world of dating sims.
that's an interesting way to look at it, as just a completely missed shot. Like, just totally off
Enjoy the
base.
rest of your night, if
But
you
I
can.
mean, and I'm not going to speak for earnestness. I'm not going to speak on the earnestness of whoever designed the game. But yeah, it's
You're still prowling around.
I don't think it's all the time. Oh, so a message that's not from Fairy. Hooray. Oh, look at her playing video
Okay,
games.
so that's a cute CG. It's
Yeah.
her playing. That's cute.
Yeah, I'm okay with this.
They always start that way.
I'm sure. I'm sure it gets progressively more louche as your character progression continues. You know, like.
But see, that's kind of the thing. Like, all of these characters are almost characters. Like, they're not all the way characters.
They're almost human, and I think that's a problem that's a real problem I have with it. Like they're almost representations of real humans, but they fuck up in one or two major ways that just takes away that immersion and goes, I'm playing a shitty anime game.
Yeah, and that's, you play games where, like, the characterization sucks you in. The Mass Effect series comes to mind.
Mm.
And then,
Yeah.
Respect your honesty, but they better not be cute.
All hell, Garrus.
oh, hell yeah. Well, I mean, we should really call it, because now I have some calibrations to make.
Don't make me
The,
ever choose between Garrus and Thane, okay?
Oh,
Just-
dude,
just like-
Garrus, what are you
No,
smoking over there?
No, you need to go play the female shepherd and romance Thane and tell me that you
Okay,
don't.
no. After that bar scene with Garrus, you're not, and Femship, you're not going to convince me. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, man. At least check out a YouTube video about it. You'll have some feels.
My Femship's only got eyes for Garrus. I will watch, but I won't put my Femship in that situation. That's just not. Okay, we're completely up. There's
I don't know.
plenty more to
Are we
talk
on
about.
phase, or is
I
this
don't
the
know.
perfect place to
don't-
end?
I'm so tired, and I've played HuniePop, and now I've got a migraine. We've got plenty more to talk about when it comes to gender and gaming and politics right now, but we're not going to talk over HuniePop about it anymore. So this has been the What Are We Fighting For, and you guys have a great night.
Amen.
Good night.
Castlevania.
Right.